Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today's topic is, since Glock is changing how they do their firing mechanism, their trigger bar, to make it to where they are no longer compatible with Glock switches, is that going to hurt sales of Glock? Because now they're no longer the same proven mechanism that's existed for decades now. There's something new. So will that hurt people? Will that hurt the brand in people's minds? The ones who always say, they're such proven guns. Well, now they're not. Or are most people who like Glocks, not going to care? They don't even know how the gun works anyway, so that's not going to matter to them. And reliability is just something they say, just to excuse, to say why Glocks are perfect. I'll weigh in first here before I start reading everybody else's comments. I don't think it will affect Glock, to be honest. I don't think it'll affect them much at all. I don't think it's going to be a major change. And two, I don't think most people who buy Glocks actually know anything about how they work. I don't think they know how the firing sequence works at all. If you ask them, how does the disconnector work? I don't think they know. If you ask them what the crucifix form on the trigger bar was, I don't think they know. And when it comes to actual reliability, they don't know real statistics on how reliable the guns are. As long as they still work and people aren't having problems with them, I don't think they're going to care if they're the same as they've always been, because like I said, I don't think they even know. People who love Glock, I think, will line up to buy them as soon as the Gen Vs are out. But I could be wrong, could hurt them, but I don't think it will. But as I was saying, that's what I think. Now let's go see what everybody else thinks. And before we do, I want to remind everyone, if you want to help support the channel, go on over to TYMPpistolproject.com. That's my own personal website. Over there's a link where you can go buy merchandise like the self-defense caliber effectiveness shirt here. I draw all my designs. They're done by me. They're not clip art. So go over, buy yourself something, help support the Pets and Vets program. Got to have clothes, right? So go over, get some, and help save a pet in need. Also, while you're over there, you can become a Patreon member, a Subscribe Star member, get yourself patches, all kinds of other stuff that we do over there. You can also register for TYMPPP or sign someone else up, register them for Handguns for Heroes. I'm losing my voice here. But feel free, like I said, go over my website, help. And anytime you buy merchandise, over the next few days until the end of the month, when you buy a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, or a hoodie, you will get an entry into the double super secret Henry Axe giveaway. So keep that in mind while you're over there also. With that being said, let's get over here to the chat and read what other people have had to say, what their opinion is on the topic. John of all trades says, why not? I never win anything anyway. Glock well, you don't get interest for this anyway, so you won't for here. It's got to be through PayPal because YouTube steals all this money. Glock redesign changes nothing. You can always redesign another Glock switch. Well, that's not necessarily true. The design they have now is susceptible to that. Most other guns aren't susceptible to being that easily manipulated. Just changing a back plate and having a little piece stick in there wouldn't work with most guns. It only works with that cruciform trigger system. So if they get rid of that, it's going to make it really hard to design a new thing to do that with. So won't be as simple. That design lends itself to that easy manipulation. Sean Bain says, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it'd be harder. Sean Bain says, no, Glock fanboys will always be Glock fanboys. That's my thinking also. They're going to look exactly the same on the outside, and as long as they look like the guns that they see in the movies, what are they going to care? They ain't going to care. Mad Dog says there will be indies and people will blame the new design. It will be the new talking point like the SIG, and everyone will say their stupid stuff. I hope not. I hope there's no issues with it. However, some people probably, if they do have an ND, they will blame the new design. Let's hope that the Bloomberg people don't get behind it and start paying the advertising companies to promote it on the gun channels like they did the SIG thing. And let's hope. And the Glock-tards were one of the biggest drivers behind the SIG thing. They wanted to see videos talking bad about SIG because it knocked Glock out of the top position. So without their push, I don't know if it'll be profitable to make videos saying it's the Glock's fault, but we'll see. Johnny Mandrick says, most owners are lucky they don't ND. Cannot tell if better or worse till I try one. Well, I won't know either till I try one, but yeah, I think most owners just don't care enough about they don't care how the cookies are made, just that they're cookies. Heavy J weighed in, says, fanboys are going to fanboy. Look at the 38 Super people. Yeah, I don't understand people like 38 Super. I think a lot of them just do it to irritate me, though. So, yeah, so I don't know if most of them actually like it, or they just say they like it because they think it makes them sound cool. I think that's more what it is. Edgar Cortez chimed in here and said, based on what I heard from you about the trigger design change, I don't believe so. Well, I don't really know what they're doing. It's all speculation at this point. I don't know if they've come out yet and said what they were doing, but at that point, when they hadn't, what they're going to have to do is somehow make it to where, because you know how the Glock switch works by sliding that little wedge in between where the disconnect slides along that little indent that pushes it out and resets the trigger. There's a little bar that sticks in there that still allows that to move through. But when it's in full auto position, it's just a little further forward, and it holds the cruciform part of the trigger bar down, keeps it from springing back up when that disconnector lets it go back up. So, because when it slides forward, when it slides to the point where the disconnector hits the little notch, by the time the disconnector hits the little notch, that little ramp has slid far enough forward that it is it's right atop the little cruciform part of the trigger bar. So when it slides farther the rest of the way forward, that can't come up and lock with the firing pin. So I don't know how they're going to change that, but they're going to have to make it to where that little piece can't go in there, that there's nothing of the trigger bar that sticks out beyond the firing pin. Because, you know, as long as if the little ledge only was as wide as the trigger bar, or the block on the firing pin, or the block on the firing pin was wider to where that couldn't go in there, it would not work. So that's all they got to do, but I don't know what they're going to do. Apparently some of the Glock performance triggers don't have the cruciform system. So if it's more to where that thing wouldn't work reliably, well, then that would be enough of a change, I guess, but we'll see. Mr. Furley, as long as they're still reliable, they'll be fine. Well, that's the thing. Will they be reliable? How long will it take to prove they're reliable? You know, a lot of people say, well, I want to see a gun be out for a while before I buy it. Well, if that happened to Glock, if everybody didn't just immediately run out and buy their new design, that'd be a big hit to their business. Because they've already gone through their period of proving they were reliable. That was Mr. Furley. Mad Dog says 38 Super, 40 Super, 45 Super. Pick one you must. I don't got to pick nothing. You can't make me. You ain't my dad. So back off. Practical Bacon also said, too many Glock-tards drunk the Kool-Aid for them to suffer too much. Far too many Glock-tards drunk the Kool-Aid for them to suffer too much. That's basically how I feel too. I don't think people that are Glock fans are going to care. As long as they look the same and function the same, I don't think they'll even notice the difference. But we'll see. In fact, if Glock sells it as now, every one of them's got a more performance-like trigger, you know, more like the Timony trigger or something. If they do something like that, even if they make other changes too, I think they probably make it a selling point. We'll see. We got Hoosier Viking still weighing in here. And Dale Rickety's not dead. Look at that. Hoosier Viking weighed in. We got one more person after Hoosier Viking. Already sent my reply through Phil's Tithe link. As far as Glocks are made out of genuine Austrian plastic, the fanboys will be waiting with open wallets. I think most of them will. Yes. Yes, they will. I agree with that 100%. And Dale Rickety's our last person weighing in tonight. And it seems like so far, no one really thinks it's going to hurt their sales. I don't know if that's good for Glock. If that means Glocks are so good, no one's going to care. Or if it means the people who love Glocks are so stupid, they're not going to notice. I'm not sure which way we're leaning on this. But Dale Rickety, who, like I said, is apparently not dead, chimed in and says, a Glock is a Glock is a Glock. Even if I guess if it's got a slightly different trigger bar, it'll still be a Glock. So I guess he's weighing in on the won't affect anything side. And like I said, I agree with him and pretty much everybody else that weighed in. So thanks everybody for weighing in. How about you out in YouTube land? Do you think it's going to affect their sales? Do you think it's not? Because, you know, everybody who loves Glock just loves Glock. Do you think there's a way they could even make it a positive? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, come to one of our live chats. We do them every day at 6 p.m. We'll be doing the Merc of Guns and Freedom podcast here in a second. But for now, we're done with shooting the shit. So thanks again to everybody who participated. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.